What's up everyone, it's Alexis from Nitrous and Sour. Today we're gonna keep working on our ability system. We're gonna do a fast dash. First thing we're gonna do though is make some space in our blueprint because all of our code were in the same place and that doesn't please the god of Unreal. So what you can do is, let's take all these things are like the basic input. So we'll create a box that's called basic input, and you can take the whole comment and just left click, right click, collapse node, and you call it basic input. Et voila. So now we made some space for this one. So now that it's done, we could do that for all of our little pieces of code, like the target system, the combo, and if you click on it, you have the combo. Alright, so now that we have all that, we can start working on our new ability. So if I press Q for the old ability, now it's gonna be press E. Okay, so basically from now on, when you do an ability, it's the same beginning of the ability. Like all that, copy, paste. Because we're basically checking if the ability cooldown is over 1. Then we're checking if we're casting ability 1. Then we're taking some mana out, and if we cannot cast, we're putting the cooldown widget. But obviously it's not a perfect copy paste, so we have to change a couple of things. Like right over here, it's not a just casting ability 1. We're gonna make a variable that's called cast ability 2. And if we're doing both of them, but any of them, we cannot cast. And we'll have to do the same piece over here, because we're expanding. Good. And over here, we're taking 0.15 mana again. That's gonna be okay. We have the cooldown. But, and another thing we want to change is the ability cooldown. There's an ability cooldown for the ability 1, and there's an ability cooldown for the ability 2. So we're gonna call it ability 2 cooldown. It's a float equal to 1, which represents 100%. Good. Good. Next thing, sorry, I keep saying this is the place where we take the mana out. This is the place where we verify if we have enough mana to cast it. Then we say we're casting the ability 2. And then we set the mana and we take some mana out. By saying minus the number of mana we want to subtract from our mana. Let's say 0.15 because we said it costs 0.15 mana to dash. Okay, so now we have to create the dash. That's like the ability system. Now we have to make the ability. Good. So this is where we'll create the dash. First thing, I do not think we want to attack when we're dashing, so we're gonna set can attack to off. The other thing is, in our character movement, we have a certain max acceleration and max walk speed. So we'll want to set both of these things. And during our dash, these two will equal like 10 times what it usually is. I don't know, something like that. Good. And now we're gonna create a timeline for this for this to apply during the timeline. So we add the timeline, we can call it dash because that's what it is. Good, and if you double click on the timeline, you can add a function, and the function you can call it dash again because that's literally our dash. And we're gonna make it maybe 0.3 second long, so that's gonna be at the time of our dash. And we're gonna add two keys. The first one is from start at 0 second and at the value 0, and the other one finish at 0.3 second at the end of our dash and to 100% of its value. Oops. I think that's all we need to do for the timeline. Now on the update, we want to add movement inputs, so during the dash your character can move. To do that, you want to get forward vector of the capsule component. Good, and basically once the dash is finished, we want to set everything back to normal, so maybe just copy paste that. We'll set it, you need to set it back to the original number. So then you just look in your character movement, 2048 and 600. And then you say can attack go back to true. And we set cast ability 2 back to off. Then we'll set its cooldown to 0. So basically we dash, we couldn't attack, we were casting the ability 2, and after we did all that we went back to our normal speed. Now we can attack and we can cast the ability 2. And it took our cooldown, so it's gonna have to recharge from here. And because we used what we called ability cooldown 2, we'll have to change a bit. Like this will become ability 1 cooldown. You can just copy paste it, it's basically the same line of code. But you call that ability 2 cooldown. Then you use the ability 2 cooldown here. Same thing for this one. Again, if you want, the update can be a random number or can be a variable or can be a different variable for every of your ability. Now we'll keep the same update because we're always updating from 0.1 every half a second. And boom. And if you're not sure, you can just check. It's a 1, it's a 1. And if we compile, there's no more issue. And now in our RPG HUD, we'll create the little progress bar. Good, and okay, so now that the progress bar is created, we need to find a picture. So give me a little time, I'll find one. Okay, good, so I didn't really found a picture real quick, but I took a classic for the dash. Let's put it in our HUD asset. And in our progress bar, we can put as an image the thing we just add to the project. And then we'll have to work with the margin. 0.6 usually works. If it doesn't work, 0.5. Work within these numbers, within 0 and 1 for the margin, and it's gonna end up fitting in the square. And use the same margin for both the background and the filled image. Bottom to top, and now if we check, we have the tint. And good, so now bottom to top, if we check, we get rid of the tint, and then it's working. If it's charging, that's our dash. And now yet again, we need to bind the percentage with something we'll call ability 2. And we cast to third person. Wait, easier. Okay, what we're doing here is the same thing as the ability 1 cooldown, so we'll just copy paste. But we're gonna take what's called ability 2 update. Voila. And we're gonna get the ability 2 cooldown. Good, so now if we start, we have once all of that is done, I just realized we did not anchor the image. And now if we try, we have our game and our character dash with a cooldown. Alright everyone, I made like 1 or 2 mistakes, because if you try to dash right now, it's only gonna dash once and it's not gonna work anymore. Because you want to plug this to play from start, not play. If you play from start, it's not gonna work. And I think that was the only issue. So now if we try, we can dash. And if you want to dash, if you want the dash to be faster, you can put these number higher and make the timeline smaller. You'll dash faster. Good, so basically if you wanted to do a dash, you have a dash right here. So the next part of the video is going to be working on making the dash a bit more distinctive, having its own look. So first thing we could do is just spawning a particle emitter and making yourself disappear, so now you become the particle emitter or whatever. So that's not at all what I wanted to do.
It's gonna be like something about the love.
Good, so on your mesh you can add a particle emitter. Let's put a lightning like that. Now you put it where you want. Good, so let's say we put this particle emitter and we make it not visible. And during our ability, basically when we press on the button, we're gonna disappear. Right here we're gonna set visibility of the mesh to off, and we're gonna set visibility of the new particle system we created to on. Good, so there's another thing we want to set its visibility to hidden. it's right here. It's our sword. Set visibility of the sword to off. So now basically we become invisible and we become that lightning bolt. And when the dash is finished, right over here, we're gonna set it the other way around. The lightning bolt become invisible and we become visible. Good, so now if we test it, we should become a lightning bolt when we dash. Yes. Yes, we do. Good, and something else we can do now that we have the lightning bolt going around. In our animation, the third person anim BP, we can go in our state machine. And from our state machine, we can just create a state that's called casting ability 2. Good, so in our state machine for the casting ability 2, just the dash, we'll want to put a little animation, and let's take the walk, it doesn't really matter. We'll just duplicate the animation, call it dash, and inside of the anim, on the notify, we can add a notify state, of a trail. And we'll use a trail that we already have. Let's say the paint slash, it's just a dark trail. And we'll use the socket from the head to the root. From the head to the root means from here to in between his leg. And now in our state machine, if we use the dash animation, we're gonna have a small trail, but before we need to connect it. So let's go in our event graph and create a variable that's called cast ability 2. Let's get cast ability 2 and set cast ability 2 from the anim blueprint to the same value. And if we go back in our state machine, now we can say if we're idle and we're casting, then we can go to the animation. So if that is true, the state machine is going to take that road, and if that is false, the state machine is going to go back to its idle. And if we try it, now we're going to be a lightning bolt with a little bit of a trail that leaves behind. You see? Good, so now we have the whole dash with a little bit of a distinctive trait for the last piece we did. Okay, one last thing you can do is go the total opposite way of making a fast dash. You put the timeline to like 5 seconds, so it's really long. And because we use the add input movement, our character, you can move your character during the dash. Like this. So then you're almost like a lightning bolt. Yeah, so then you're almost like riding a lightning bolt. Good, so that's gonna be it for today. Thank you everyone and have a wonderful day.